Welcome to For Will Mr. Nice Guy. I'm your host, MNG. And today, we're not really going to talk about me being a father or a single father for so long. Actually, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about motivation. And I am here to motivate you. I'm here to speak greatness into your existence. And the reason why I want to speak greatness into your existence is because I believe that you are a great person. Regardless of the place that you are, regardless of the moments you are in life, you are a great person. Now, don't just take my word for it. I mean, you can definitely look in the mirror and see how great of a person that you are. And if you don't know, but now you do know, every day is a phenomenal day. But it's also story time, because I like to tell stories to go along with a lot of these motivational pieces and philosophies, but you'll learn as time goes on. Let's talk about how I became the motivational, inspiring person that I can be. And I'm not trying to say that to kind of toot my own horn or anything, but I like to inspire people. I like to make sure that everybody get the best of themselves. And it's not easy, or it's not no boasting or anything, but I like to see people do great things. And I started this podcast because I feel like I can tell my story about being a single father, but also I can promote people into being great and being great about themselves and being great in life. You know, who doesn't want to see everybody do great in life? I mean, the world would be great. Well, it wouldn't be the best, but in the ideal world, think about it. If everybody was a millionaire, that would be great. I think it would be great. But majority of my working life, I have been an employee of somebody else. Matter of fact, I'm still an employee of somebody else. The turning point of my positivity happened, say about 20 years ago. It's about 20 years ago. Let's say 20 years ago. So about 20 years ago, I was in class, and I took my first psychology class and fell in love with psychology. Fell in love with psychology and philosophy. Two of the greatest things that I could have ever came across. Changed my life. So my teacher introduced me to 16 personalities, and I found out that I was a logistician. Sentinel logistician at that, which was great because it gave me like definition. It gave me a lot of meaning at that point. But just as I found that out, I also found out that I was really introverted, which kind of made sense because I kind of wanted to stay to myself. I really didn't want to be bothered with too many people. Even my classmates, I didn't want to be bothered with. I kind of hated. Well, I ain't gonna say hate it. I kind of just like being in groups. But when I was in groups, I kind of took charge, and I was great at taking charge. I was great at being a leader, which, you know, a logistician is good at. But I also hated kind of having to take the lead. It was kind of like a double-edged sword in some ways. But I had to do it, especially when I sat back and watched other people try to be a leader, and they really couldn't be a leader. So I would just be sitting back looking like, okay, well, I guess something's going to get done. I guess somebody's going to be given an order to do something or respond to something, anything. Nope. I just had to sit back and just kind of take the BS that they were giving. I finished up school, went through all those years. Still kind of read up on psychology, still read up on a lot of philosophy. But I was really, really interested in this personality test. So a few years later, after getting my degree, I became a supervisor. Now, all the time that I've been just an employee and following the rules, I stayed to myself. And if I did cause trouble, it was small trouble. It was enough to where I didn't get rolled up. I probably got called into the office. Maybe because of my smart mouth, maybe because of my demeanor. You know how you try to get away with a little slick stuff on the low, so nobody really knows what's going on. So you just be, get a little jabber jaw sometimes. That's kind of how I was. A little slick with the tongue. But for the most part, I try to get along with everybody, but you can't get along with everybody, unfortunately. So I became a supervisor. I felt like I could make the most change by being a supervisor. And change I made a lot of changes as a supervisor. I made so many changes, it made my director feel bad. Like, she was getting on my head about it. Like, I mean, she wasn't like feeling bad, like, man, I should make them changes. I mean, she was like mad, not like mad as hell that I was making changes and I wasn't asking for no opinion. Funny thing is, it wasn't my first time being a supervisor, because I was a supervisor before, but I was a manager in a gym. But now, like, being a supervisor in a new position, it was different. Like, I had to get people's opinion before I actually made a change. I didn't know I had to do that as a supervisor. That was new to me. I just wanted to walk in, make changes because I see it, because I wanted to make changes how I see fit. I thought I was doing a damn good job. But then I was told I wasn't doing a great job because I was making changes. Then nobody know nothing about them. I was making changes that wasn't approved. I was making changes that went against laws and everything. I'm like, ugh. Yeah, I don't want to do that. So I had to reel it in. But also, remember, I said I was an introvert. And being an introvert, you kind of don't really want to deal with people, so to speak. And I, for one, did not want to deal with anybody. I tried to stay to myself as much as possible. But once I became a supervisor, the world changed. I realized that I had problems at home, and so did everybody else. And the ones that had problems at home brought their problems at work. And what kind of supervisor would I be if I couldn't be the pillar of motivation and positivity for them? Because once I became a supervisor, I realized it was no longer about me. It was about my employees. How can I get the best production out of my employees, even if they wasn't feeling good, even if they wasn't right? Even if they was on a verge of alcoholism. I mean, maybe not the verge of alcoholism, but just really not in the best position to work. I wanted to be that bridge, the person that they can come and talk to, the person that they can confide in, the person that they can rely on. That's who I wanted to be. But it took me not being an introvert to do it. I had to come out swinging. And I went home one day and I kind of was talking to myself, not like crazy talking to myself, like I didn't be sitting in the corner or in a room with padded walls, but I was talking to myself just like, well, what do you want to do? Like, what kind of supervisor do you want to be? Like, you was a supervisor once and you see how that turned out. So what kind of supervisor do you want to be now? What kind of energy do you want to bring to your employees? And I realized that if I was going to bring the energy, I had to bring it. And I mean bring it. I had to hit a home run. It had to be the bottom of the ninth. It had to be tied. It had to be, this is the last go ahead button and there was no turning back type of turnaround. I walked in the next day, jumped into my office, set my stuff down, walked into my area with my employees, and I said, good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. And everybody turned around and they looked and was like, who is that talking? That's not our supervisor. Did he just say happy Monday? I said happy Monday. After I made that big entrance, so to say, or so to speak, that big entrance, everybody was just so quiet at first. Some people thought it was just like this facade of the energy that I was displaying. Some people thought it was like, oh man, he about to be one of those supervisors. It was a lot of things that was being said. But one thing was for sure, that I wanted to keep the energy going. I wanted to display a level of professionalism. I wanted to display a level of of camaraderie. I wanted to make sure that my actions synced up with my words. So when I spoke to my employees, I made sure that I spoke to them in a fashion that not only was down to earth, but it was kind of in the same lingo that they could understand and they was okay with. I didn't want to speak a lot of jargon to them. The interesting part is, way back when, a little bit further away from me being a supervisor, I used to talk to my manager. So when I first started at this job, I used to talk to the customers, like depending on the customer that came to the window, determined how I was going to actually talk to them. So if it was a guy from the hood, it's like, what up though? What's good? Where we at? How can I help you? If it was an attorney coming to the window or somebody else, it'll be, hey, how you doing today? What can I do for you? How can I help? So my manager heard me one time and she was like, you have to speak the same way to everybody. I was like, well, if there's some guys coming from the hood, they ain't about to understand the pleasantries. I'm going to talk to them like we from around the way. That's the best way to get to them. That's the only way they going to hear me. But if I talk to them like some, hey, how you doing? Welcome. Ain't nobody trying to hear all that. It's bad enough they in a place that they don't want to be at. It's bad enough they got to come in here and deal. So no, I'm not going to talk to them. I'm not going to talk to them with a professional voice. I'm not doing that. I'm about to talk to them on the same level they on, cause they about to come to the door. They about to come to the window. Like, what up though, man? Hey, I need some information. Right? Bro, I got you. What you need? Man, that's how we gonna talk, and we gonna get through the transaction, and we gonna be good. I think a lot of people will benefit better when they talk to people on their level. Like, yo, what it do? Where you at? I got you. But back to the story. So I became the pillar of motivation and positivity for them, and it was hard to win them over. It was difficult. Like, honestly, these are people that I worked with, shoulder to shoulder. We went against management together. We created and stirred up mess together, and now they had to answer to the very person that was in the center of it all with them. From a standpoint, they really say you're not supposed to manage the people that you work with, and I agree. Because they test you, and they really think you their friend until you write them up. Once you write them up, y'all no longer friends. Y'all enemies at that point. Y'all frenemies. Polite one day, good the other. Y'all all of that. We made it through. I did it for 4 years. 4 long years I did it. And it was the greatest experience. Back to the 16 personality test. When I did that, 10 years later, I took the 16 personalities test from the first time I took it and realized that I went from dramatically introverted. I was still 51% introverted, but I was 49% extroverted. And it became the very foundation of who I was. And a lot of people talk about, can you reinvent yourself? And you can. You can reinvent yourself. You can change who you are. Now, we all grow over time, and we grow and become something better. We become something more synonymous to what ultimately, or our ideal person. We all have our ideal person, whether that person is locked inside or that's somebody that we want to bring out. I seen this one quote, and it was a very interesting quote, and it kind of reminded me of the transformation that I went through. But it basically said, if you pretend to be someone else long enough, you'll become that person. And it holds so much value, because when you go to a new job, you can reinvent yourself. When you go to a new school, you can reinvent yourself. When you hang out with a different group of friends, or you want to make new friends, you can reinvent yourself. You don't have to be the same person. And this is all part of self-improvement. What you display is who you are. What you continue to do is who you become. So you can always reinvent yourself. In that supervisor role, I reinvented myself. I started to dress the part. I started to talk the part. I became more positive. I became more energetic. I fed my employees energy. And when I left that job and went to another job, I did the same thing. I became that pillar of energy. I became that pillar of positivity. And I reinvented myself. Then I went to the next job and I reinvented myself. And I built on top of that and built on top of that and built on top of that. And it was so energetic. It was so infectious. The last job I was at, it was so awesome. I walked in with a smile on my face. I walked in with a pep in my step. I walked in with energy in my voice. What people fail to realize, energy transfers between people. So if I'm energetic with you, you'll be energetic with me. There are times where I would say, good morning, happy Monday, or good morning, happy Tuesday. And it changes a person's mood. It's kind of hard to explain it unless you see it. I want to implore anybody and everybody that's listening to this. If you're writing an email, if you're writing a text message, I want you to, and that's in that first text message, if you send it to your loved one, if you send it to somebody that you're dating, if you send it to anybody, I want you to say, good morning, happy whatever day, happy Monday, happy Tuesday. I hope that you have a phenomenal day. I hope that you have an awesome day. Now they may say, you know what? That's not like you. That's different. Like, is that really, you don't really mean that. That's not how you are. They're going to say that at first. And they're going to say, what got into you? Don't tell them about the podcast. But they're going to say, what got into you? But just keep doing it. Because eventually it's going to make you feel good. And then, not only that, it's going to make them feel good. They are going to invoke the same energy that you're giving. It's going to happen. And the more you do it to people, the more it transpires, the more it folds over. It's going to keep on occurring. It's going to keep on happening. So you hit them with the good morning, happy Monday. You hit them with the good morning, happy Tuesday. And every time somebody brings negativity your way, you put a positive spin on it. Somebody told me, they were like, man, you know, I'm scared I may go to jail. I say, yeah, there's a possibility you may go to jail. There's a possibility that you may not go to jail. Reside in the idea that you may not go to jail. You did everything that you could. See, here's the thing. And this is one thing that I had to learn. Me personally, get caught up in the things that I cannot control. And when I get so caught up in the things that I cannot control, I get frazzled and I get eager to control them. But then I have to take a step back and say, this is not something that you can control. This is not something that you can do. This is not something that you can grasp and say, hey, I need you to function and do how I want you to do. I don't have that ability. I don't have that power. I don't have that energy. If I want to make $1 million, I have the energy, the option, and the mindset to make $1 million. What I don't have the mindset, the energy, and the power to do is make somebody stay in my life. Make somebody act the way I want them to act. Make somebody be the fictitious woman that I need them to be inside my head, standing by my side, saying yes when I give them a ring. I have no control over that. But what I do have control over is how people view me, how people talk to me, and how people respect me. Because you might not like me, as the cliche goes, you might not like me, but you will respect me. So I implore everyone, all of you, when you go and you write that text message, you write that email, that first initial one, good morning, happy whatever day, or good afternoon, happy whatever day. Hope you have an awesome week. Hope you have an awesome day. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you. Have an awesome week. I like using awesome and phenomenal. I just think those are just the most highly positive words that you could probably give somebody. I'm sure there's others out there, but that's what I like to use. That's what I like to say. And I just hope everybody just rock with it. Be like, you know what, MNG, you own to something, man. But that's my story. That's how I became the pillar of motivation and positivity. And I speak it from the heart. I speak it from the heart. But this is the motivation that I want to put out there. And plus some other stories about how, I became a single father for 15 years and raised my son. We're going to get to those stories. But I kind of want to kick this off just talking about how I became positive. I became that energy. That's kind of what I want to bring to people. I want to bring that energy. I want to bring motivation to you, positivity to you, and for you to spread it to other people. Because I can't change the world. No, I'm not trying to. But if I can change one person, or I can affect one person, I'll be just happy with that. And I think you should be too. Just be happy with the small things that you do. I think the small things spread like wildfire versus the big things. Tell me what you think. And if you have any stories or anything that you'd like me to talk about, maybe a topic, you can always send it to farewellmrniceguy@gmail.com. So we're at this point where we're going to say goodbye to Farewell Mr. Nice Guy.